All right, welcome everybody to our inaugural Spotlight Series Top 5 event. I am Maggie Geppert. I am the Vice Chair of the Continuing Committee, and I have with me today Matt Kirk, our second edition creative manager and all-around good guy, who's going to tell us all about his top 5 next-gen cards for both first edition and second edition of the Star Trek customizable card game. All right, Matt, so why don't you go ahead and tell us a bit about your top 5 choices for first edition?
Well, I picked, the topic was TNG, and so I went with kind of the deck that I was most familiar with in first edition with the Enterprise E folks, as opposed to the continuing mission TNG era folks. Enterprise E is a deck that I've played a lot, and it's got nice little synergies, few skill gaps, but I mean, it holds together pretty well. So here are my top 5 in no particular order. If you want to talk about any of them when we get there, just stop me as I go along here. Kind of the core of the deck, Federation flagship relaunched. You kind of need that. Well, you don't need it, but it's very helpful since it lets you download the Enterprise to get started. The opponent gets to damage it if you do, but if they don't have a battle bridge, then you can skip that part. Make It So as another kind of cornerstone of that deck, since they don't have to pitch it after it's used, since you got the Enterprise E icon. William Riker from Chain of Command is he was the commander of choice after I think Shades of Grey came out, because he got to download the Federation flagship renewed after you had your ship out, so it get you some extra card draws every turn. Also from Shades of Grey, Worf. Worf was important because we hadn't had an Enterprise E version of him, because his first contact version just had a command star because he was on the Defiant. Okay, that makes sense. But he also had diplomacy, which was big to turn on deck blind. If you were running deck blind, you have your mission specialist, whoever, and then Worf was usually the second diplomacy to help turn that on. And then Deanna Troi, from First Contact, unstopping away teams, big important part of that strategy to just be able to, hit a wall, keep going. Yeah, those are my top 5.
Cool. So just out of curiosity, because I'm not currently a first edition player, what does Duck Blind do for you?
Duck Blind is the Alpha Quadrant version of Ancestral Vision, and here's what Ancestral Vision does. Ancestral Vision is a Delta Quadrant. It's a seed card. It's an event that plays on a planet mission, and Ancestral Vision, I believe you have to have an honor person, and if it's Chakotay, if you have an honor person on a planet at the end of the turn, you draw an extra card, and if it was Chakotay, you got to draw an extra card. And that got toned down, so now it only draws 1 card. And so they made an Alpha Quadrant equivalent of it as Duck Blind from Who Watches the Watchers, where they're with the Mintakans. And it plays on an Alpha Quadrant planet mission. If you have 2 diplomacy there at the end of your turn, you get to draw an extra card.
Oh, nice. Extra card draws, I know, are always good in first edition, because you have to balance out your free plays.
Yep.
That was always the problem with Red Alert. Yeah, you could drop everybody, but then what are you going to do after that?
You have to play a Parallax Arguer and get them to let you play an event before you have your normal card play, so then you can drop everybody.
That's right. Oh, memories. It's been a long time since. That's what my play group when I was in college, we called ourselves the Parallax Arguers UBOMW, the ugly bags of mostly water.
Very good.
All right, excellent. Thank you for that, Matt. Why don't you tell us a little bit about your top 5 for second edition, the next gen Federation affiliation?
Next Gen and 2E has long been sort of the benchmark watermark, whatever you want to call it, the kind of ground floor of what a straight solver should be. From just from Energize when Avert Danger came out, and there was the three mission deck where you're having your extra science guys, and Davies was scoring you extra points and rounding the corner that way. To cadets, I mean, you could run cadets out of DS9 Earth, I guess, but I mean, TNG was really the one you wanted to do it out of. But now it's a little bit different. We've kind of had a few more cards based on the everybody wins theme that Disadvantage to Advantage kind of started, where everybody gets their first unique guy for free. And among the cards, the newer cards that go along with that theme, one of my top 5 is Loxana Troy, Psychic Tutor. She's great. She gets to download one of 3 cards, or I guess 2 or 3 cards.
2, 3 cards.
Yeah, and they're all good. Common Ground is good because you get free dude, and if they don't have anybody in their hand, hey, you just get a free dude. Or, well, I guess it costs 1, and you have to have them in your hand. And then Disadvantage, I already mentioned that, gets a unique guy for free. But actually, number 2 on my list was New Life, which was one of the stronger cards to come out of its set that basically rewarded people for attempting missions, which they already want to do that. But the TNG player getting to benefit when the opponent tries a mission, give them a card, sure. Oh, I get a card too. All right, that's fine. But then when the TNG player tries a mission, they get 2 cards, and it's very strong. I really enjoy that card a lot. More core event nonsense. This is an older one. This was part of Johnny Oliva's deck back from, I think it was 2007. Yeah, he played Justin Beal, and Justin Beal was playing his Romulan lockout deck, and it was a fantastic game. And part of the reason that Johnny won that was because of Shared Problems. Shared Problems, 0 cost core event, makes everybody have to draw. I guess you don't have to, but there's no reason why you wouldn't. There's no cost or anything. It's just you get to draw and spend 1 extra, and it's a non-unique event, so you can have up to 3. Everybody's drawing and spending 3 extra. It's pretty strong, especially that was back in the day when the mega big dilemmas were running around, Silkoski Infection and Whisper in the Dark. That was a big part of powering those out. And then we got a couple oddballs for the last couple slots in my top 5. Worf First Officer was from Fractured Time. He had a very neat effect, very kind of specific effect. He let you swap out personnel during missions as long as they were TNG and they had the same cost as another TNG guy in your team. And this was Worf from Parallels when he's got the red shirt and he's jumping back and forth between realities and whatnot. So I liked it because it was a great gameplay reflection of what was actually happening in the episode, but it was actually useful too, because somebody gets targeted and you say, hey, I don't want that person to die. Let me swap him out for somebody that I don't care about. Or, hey, I need this particular skill, and you swap in. This was also great to get Guinan off the board and get to play her again for 5 more points. He's very strong effect. Hasn't been used a whole lot lately, but he's one of those kind of chestnuts that I always kind of go back to and go like, oh yeah, that was a great deck. I really enjoyed that. And my last slot goes to the old Enterprise E, flagship of the Federation, mostly due to its sort of, I don't want to say infamous, but it's definite ubiquitous use of its ability to get events off the board. It used to be where you could just, it wasn't a cost, where you could just return events to each player's hand out of their core, but it got eroded so that you have to stop a diplomacy guy and return an event in your core 2 return an event in their core to their hand. So, but it's still great. It's still a great tool. And the cost reduction, just because it's cost -1 for each, I think, Command Star TNG guy that you have out, and it's very strong. You can abuse some of the everybody gets stuff, so you can abuse disadvantage with it. If you've got a party atmosphere out, you're already getting a discount on your core events. You play your guy for free, and then during your orders, you use the Enterprise E to bounce it so they don't get their guy at -2, and then you replay your disadvantage next turn for free. It's very strong. It's a neat little combo card, and definitely one of those that is long in the memory of most 2E TNG players.
All right. Well, thank you, Matt. There's so many enterprises to pick from. I was like, wait, I have to go look. Which enterprise is that? Because it's not the one I use in my TNG decks.
I almost picked Diplomatic Envoy Enterprise D, because that one has probably seen a little bit more play recently, just because of the extra points, and it's easy to score. And with everybody gets some, you give your opponent points, but if you have your matching commander, you get a little bit more. So, and while I do enjoy that one, I feel like the Enterprise E, the flagship one, deserved more of a spot on the list, just because of the shenanigans that people have been using it for. And it's just one of those good cards that it's going to be hard to make another Enterprise E that's going to come close to topping that.
Yep. All right. Well, thank you so much, Matt, for talking to me today for our inaugural Spotlight series. I really enjoyed your 2 top 5s, and you've got me thinking about Worf now for my current TNG deck. So I'm hoping that's what this series does for people. All right. Well, this is Maggie Geppert signing off for the Continuing Committee's top Spotlight series, our top 5 TNG first edition and second edition cards. Thanks again, Matt, and I hope you all enjoyed this series. We'll see you next week.